Let me preface this video by saying that I don't hold any ill will towards Jacksfilms or Galvanic Games whatsoever. This is not a takedown or an expose trying to rile up drama when there really doesn't need to be. It's simply a deep dive into a failed project that I thought would be interesting to cover. Now, I don't want to see any of you fuckers harassing or insulting anyone because of this. Got it? Good. Let's start.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
I've been a fan of Jack since around 2014. He's one of the few OG YouTubers that I still watch on a regular basis. From my understanding, the rest have either quit, disappeared, or moved on to other things in life. YouTube isn't the end-all be-all for some people, and that's perfectly reasonable. I want to say I greatly admire the longevity and tenacity the Jacksfilms name has gone through over the years. Through eras of new metas for getting views, the adpocalypse, your fan base growing out of the content, I think Jack has been very smart and calculated when it comes to YouTube long term. It is unheard of for someone to go this far and this long and still garner a relatively clean and large fan base. So when I heard that on March 23rd, 2022 he was making a new game, I was skeptical, I'll be honest, but seeing Jack's track record, I thought this could have the potential to be a huge success. But just by seeing the title on the thumbnail, you can see how it wasn't. With the current active player base of 0, Jesus, really? I think it's safe to say that even with this massive update to overhaul the voting system and whatnot, this game is a failed project. But did things really need to go this way? Is there some sort of reality where the game was a massive success? Well, with all the problems I'll get into later, probably not. But I want to be constructive with my criticisms, so I'll offer a few suggestions along with it. Let's start things off with the history of the game and its development. Thankfully, the announcement video is also a Jackask where he answers a ton of questions about the game itself, so I'm going to be pulling most of my stuff from here. So this game is based off his hit series Yai, or Yesterday I Asked You, where Jack gives the viewers a prompt and the funniest answers get picked the next day. More specifically, Yai Live, a live version of Yai hosted on Twitch, where viewers would submit answers in real time. So after all the games end, Jack starts to notice something going on in the chat. People end up making their own games, where someone gives a random prompt, people give answers, and even vote. Eventually, this idea snowballs into the initial concept for Be Funny Now, Yai the video game basically. This was back in August of 2018, meaning development time for the game took a total of almost 4 years. This was not some half-baked flash-in-the-pan idea that got rushed into development and then quickly forgotten about. This took time, effort, planning, resources, and a lot of manpower behind it. An entire studio is backing it, for Christ's sake. Speaking of, who the hell are Galvanic Games anyway? Well, they've also worked with other YouTube channels in the past, like Explosive Entertainment. That game was Rapture Reject, a battle royale with fairly positive reviews, but this video is not about that. Besides that game, they've done other work too, such as Wizard with a Gun, Questmore, and many others. So from the looks of it, this is a well-established game development company that's behind Be Funny Now, being funded and produced by Jacksfilms. On top of that, it's completely free? Well, for the most part, yes. More like freemium with the microtransactions for cosmetics and an ad-free experience, but I can understand wanting to monetize a game that's been worked on for so long. He also mentions that he'll be frequently adding updates and working on the game in the future after its release. So far, things are looking pretty good, only positive so far, but what went wrong? Well, there's a lot. A lot is wrong with the game. For starters, let's talk about the concept of the game itself. A public or private party game, usually played by friends, where the players are given prompts and the funniest answer is awarded through a voting system. Does that sound a bit familiar to you? It does? Well, you're right in thinking that, because this game is eerily similar to the Quiplash series from Jackbox Games. Wait a minute, Jacksfilms? Jackbox? I think I've stumbled onto something here. But in all seriousness, it feels like a diet version of Quiplash except less funny, slow-paced, impossible to win, and barely played since launch. I don't think it was Galvanic Games nor Jack's intention to do this for any malicious money-hungry reason, but especially after the update to the voting system, it's hard to turn a blind eye to. But hey, it is free, and if you can't afford Jackbox, I guess you have this. But good luck having any fun, because the lobbies are dead.
Oh, no.
Like I mentioned before, Nobody is playing this game. That's not even a harsh exaggeration. Even the diehard Jacksfilms fans aren't playing. That's how you know something's wrong. I mean, I sat here looking for a public lobby for 10 minutes and I couldn't find a single game. I must have single-handedly bumped the player count so high in 2 weeks that Galvanic Games went on red alert thinking that the game got flooded by bots. But no, this isn't TF2. None of that is happening here.
Whoa, 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 hey.
But there's gotta be a reason people aren't playing, right? Let's check the Steam reviews and see what's going on here. This game was great on launch, just sorta forgot it existed. I don't know how anyone could play this for more than like 2 weeks. It gets boring pretty fast. 4 out of 10. With how popular Jackbox games are, Be Funny Now could have added another piece of couch funniness to the party. Unfortunately, that wasn't realized, and I don't see it happening in the future. The low amount of prompts leads to many repeats, even in a low number of played games. The original boo dog piles and attempted correction in scoring votes both incentivize the wrong things in the game, and the quality of responses tend to lead in the unfunny direction. I really want to like this game because I know the publisher, Jack Douglas, seems really passionate about it, and the work he and the team have done. But there are just some baffling decisions I can't believe made it past the brainstorming stage. Allowing people to anonymously boo every joke without a limit just makes every public lobby a mess of tryhards booing everyone, and then getting booed back. It seems like the winner is just whoever managed to get the least amount of random negative points. When first place has regularly under 1,000 points, and second place is in the negatives, the system does not seem to be working as intended. So it looks like these are the biggest complaints. People abusing the terrible voting system, repetitive and boring prompts, slow-paced gameplay, and probably the biggest factor, people not being funny. Christ, for a game called Be Funny Now, it's really struggling to do that. Of course, this is not the fault of Jack or Galvanic Games, it's something you can't really control, and you've just gotta hope you get a good lobby. But my god, when I did try this out when the game was released, people could not conceive of anything funny, besides reused jokes from 2015 and lol random humor from even longer ago. It's like the moment that Jack laughs hard at a funny response from Yai, the audience runs it into the ground trying to make him laugh again, and that really bleeds into this game.
Gary! I was just looking for the sports channel, Gary.
I feel really bad for him because this is a very common criticism of the game, and there's really nothing he could do about it besides maybe making better prompts with more room for creativity and humor. Speaking of which, the same prompt over and over again?
1 time is funny, 2 times is fucking annoying, no?
I mean, this wouldn't even be the biggest problem if the prompts themselves were actually good. I mean, take a look at these. Besides all of that, there's another tangent I really want to go on. The marketing. Now, believe it or not, marketing is a very big factor in making people want to buy products. You'd be surprised at how much a movie could flop with zero marketing behind it. Look at Strange World, for example. But this is the opposite of zero marketing. This is over-marketing. Ever since the announcement of the game's launch, for a while the channel was just,
Be Funny Now is the greatest game I have ever played. I love this game so much. I love Be Funny Now, which is free, mobile, and Steam.
and hey, I totally understand needing to build hype for the game. You gotta promote it before and after its release to get the audience interested. But things start to take a turn when every damn short on the channel is just Be Funny Now over and over again. I hope you're having fun and I'm happy for you. But I have to say, I do miss your longer videos. Hopefully your editors have something coming up soon. Shorts aren't really my thing. It's why I'm on YouTube and not on TikTok. I've been subject to so much advertising for this game that I have a legitimate flight response whenever I see that damn font. Thankfully, this era is mostly gone and it's back to long-form yais. The voting system seems to be the second biggest problem with the game. I'm honestly still confused about how it works because it really doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It seems like you got points that could go into negatives based off of an emoji rating system that goes from this to this. By the way, what the fuck does this one mean? You'd think one vote per person, right? Nope. Vote as many times as you want. It's the only way you have a fighting chance in the game. Here's the strategy. Whenever somebody else is on stage, make sure they can't win by spamming the angry emoji over and over again. And that's it. You really don't have any incentive to vote fairly or honestly, because why would anyone else do the same for you? So every match turns into who can click the button the fastest, instead of an honest and fair judgment of who has the funniest response. And of course, you suffer zero consequences for voting negatively the entire game. There's no reason not to, unless you want to lose. The winners end up having like 2 points at the end, and everyone else is at negative 1034. I don't even understand how the points are calculated. Sometimes it seems like I have a bunch of positive votes from people, but in the end I have negative points? There's almost no way to tell. I really can't believe that there are this many problems in the game, but without some sort of massive update to fix all this stuff, this game is not surviving. And would you look at that, there's an update. Let's see what changed.
Number 10, the voting system. Players would vote on each other's answers using the game's ranking system, a spectrum of emojis to convey how much they like or dislike an answer. You can probably see the flaw already. With this method, there is no way to stop players from downvoting every answer in the hopes that they win. This ruined the experience for a lot of people using the public matchmaking mode. Number 9, too much promotion. Once Be Funny Now was out, Jacksfilms made the rookie mistake of promoting the game far too much. He did this primarily through YouTube Shorts. He made dozens and dozens of these yucky videos to the point where his video feed was oversaturated with them, greatly annoying his viewers.
Instead of voting on individual answers like before, games will now pit 2 answers against each other, and everyone else has to vote for their favorite one. After players have seen all the answers, the game will then pit winning answers against each other in a tournament-style bracket. And by the way, there are no more negative scores. You can only earn points now. Even if you don't win a round, you still earn points for each time somebody votes for your answer.
Wow, I'm honestly impressed. He actually addressed all the issues and implemented changes to fix them. The voting system was probably the best change by far. Making it a tournament-style bracket by pitting 2 responses against each other is a much better way to get better results for the game. And hey, no more negative points. Albeit, now the game is even more similar to Quiplash, seeing as it's the same system over there too. An improvement though, nonetheless. Besides that, there's some new cosmetic and UI changes, and not much else. Don't get me wrong, it's a big improvement over the original, but it's still very lacking when it comes to gameplay. Of course, to make things very clear, I've been talking about public lobbies, when you're pitted against strangers. Playing in a private lobby against your friends can honestly be a great time, especially with the custom prompts added in the major update. It's the reason why Quiplash works so well. It's against your friends and people you know, which is an infinitely better time than trying to play against strangers. Could you imagine a world where Jackbox games have public lobbies? Good God, what a nightmare. Also, unrelated, but I've noticed on YouTube the only videos related to Be Funny Now are 99% Jacksfilms, and the only exceptions being when Forsen played it for 30 minutes on stream, and a video by ParashockX, where the video ends if he gets any negative votes, and as you can see, it ended under 2 minutes. It's something I'll touch on later. Overall, it seems like the game got a pretty good update that sparked up interest again, but slowly started to dwindle back down to 0. Despite the changes, many problems have still ensued. Okay, I've torn into this game head and toe pointing out flaws. I think it's time to recommend some improvements, and ways to make the game better. I think a huge mistake was the way the marketing was handled. So Jack used mainly his own brand name and such to promote the game, which is fine given the large audience, but it limits it to only Jacksfilms fans and not more of a broader general audience. It feels like people aren't playing because they found a cool new game on Steam and want to try it out, if you get what I mean. Almost everything you see online about the game is tied with Jack in some way, and while he was a major contributor with funding and the idea, like I mentioned previously, it seems like he's the only one promoting it. I like what he did with the billboard though, and the mustache sketch competition. Excellent ideas. Even if the actual thing that was being advertised was obstructed by a building, and anyone passing by wouldn't know what the billboard was even advertising. Instead of wasting $3,500 on a billboard that didn't even serve its main function, that money could have gone towards advertisements on popular gaming websites, Google Ads, pre-rolls on YouTube videos, etc. And of course, getting other YouTubers to promote the game wouldn't hurt as well. It could reach a larger and fresher audience. The social media for the game is also dead. On Twitter, they have less than 500 followers, and their last tweet was July of 2022. These things need to be active and engage with users to stay afloat. And finally, Tone it down with the amount of videos on the game. A couple of them every once in a while is fine, but going overboard turns people off from trying it out. Next is the prompts. Things have got to change with a bigger variety to keep things fresh. Look at the show Whose Line Is It Anyway? There's a similar segment where Drew Carey gives a prompt and the actors come up with funny responses. The difference between that and Be Funny Now is that the prompts are actually really good and give room for creative and funny answers, instead of something so restrictive. Here are some examples.
Rejected themes for restaurants.
Hello and welcome to Dead 109 recipes that you can do with your
Inappropriate topics of conversation when meeting the Queen of England.
I lick your stamps all the time.
Bad game show concepts. Wheel of mucus!
Sure, some of these aren't original and they've been done on Yai, but honestly it's a massive improvement over the current roster we have. Maybe even adding a system where prompts aren't suggested twice in a row would be good too. I want to bring up a loosely related game that I used to love called Comedy Night. You'd hop into a server and one person would be up on stage trying to be funny, or talking about whatever, while everyone else watched them fail miserably.
To fall in love is very easy. Staying in love... I forgot the rest of it.
Then, after they were done, it would cycle to the next person that wanted to be up on stage, and they could talk next. From the seats, you could heckle, taunt, boo, cheer, anything you want. It was never dull with a full lobby of people, with at least someone talking or making some noise. I mentioned this game because the presentation in Be Funny Now is a bit lackluster. The only sounds are a couple boos and cheers here and there, with the background music playing on loop forever, which in my opinion gets annoying fast. When the game gets going, everyone just reads the response in their head and waits like 30 seconds for things to start moving along. I'm sorry, but it's boring. I'd suggest maybe having a chatbot read off the responses in-game to make things a little more exciting. I mean, even Quiplash had the announcer. I've had a much better time talking to strangers over the internet in Comedy Night than I have in Be Funny Now. Okay, I think I've done enough complaining. I really do believe that Jack and Galvanic Games put their heart into this, trying to make it work, but it seems like things were doomed from the very beginning. I don't think a public version of Quiplash would work either, to be honest. It would suffer the same problems as Be Funny Now. Now, do I think this game could be resurrected? Probably not. Even after the big update, there was only a tiny spike in players, which quickly went down again. But hey, it happens. Sometimes a project or an idea isn't gonna work, and you have to give up on it. It's not the end-all be-all for Jack or Galvanic Games. Maybe in the future they can even make a better project that actually holds up. But for the time being, Be Funny Now is a dead game that's not really worth playing, unless you need some time to kill with your friends. And that's about all I have to say. Make sure to like and subscribe. See ya.